Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the board, management, and staff of exporTT, I want to welcome you to today's session on exporting via Caribbean Airlines air cargo service executed in collaboration with Caribbean Airlines. I am Maria Padilla Benjamin, Manager Training for exporTT and your host today. Coming at this time to welcome you to today's session is Danraj Hariprasad, Acting General Manager of exporTT. Danraj, it's over to you.
Thank you, Maria. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this morning session. Logistics is a huge part of the export process as cost and time. As the cost and time it takes to get your products to market can greatly improve or erode your competitiveness. The COVID-19 pandemic has made logistics one of the most challenging parts of the export process, as ports and airlines were closed or operated below capacity, thus slowing the transport of cargo. For those of you with temperature-sensitive goods, your supply chains are much more complicated, and having reliable logistics is important to ensure that cargo reaches your clients safely and in the condition it was supposed to. Based on a high registration rate for this morning's seminar, I can see that information on the state of air cargo and the processes involved are extremely important to both our current and potential exporters. We have a very packed agenda this morning, which looks at the export process, packaging guidelines, and the required documentation. Our capacity building and program financing manager, Mr. Kristen Maraj, will be providing some info on the financial assistance that exporTT offers to exporters, such as the co-financing for the shipping of samples and certification of products for entry into export markets. We are also very proud to partner with Caribbean Airlines to offer discounts to exporters on new shipments and the shipment of samples. We know that for small exporters, and in particular the new ones, every dollar counts, and these discounts can go a long way. I'm sure that you would have also heard about exporTT's Export Booster Initiative that was launched recently. It's a $50 million allocation, which focuses on the areas of capacity building, export promotion, and institutional strengthening for both exporTT and the TTME. Thus far, the certification program has been launched, and I'll leave those details to Christina as well. There is, however, much more to come under this initiative. So please stay tuned and ensure that you maximize all the benefits that are going to come your way. That being said, I thank you for your attendance this morning, and I hope that you enjoy the session. For those of you who are new to exporTT, I urge you to visit our website, www.exportt.co.tt, and also follow us on social media to get all the updates. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you very much, Danraj. Our lead facilitator this morning is Brian Brooms, Head of Sales Cargo, Caribbean Airlines. He's customer focused and has implemented a number of initiatives to enhance Caribbean Airlines cargo service since joining the division 2 years ago. These include the expansion of the cargo customer service, the introduction of an affordable barrel and e-container shipment service, the launch of a cargo loyalty program, and other projects. He is proud to lead a close-knit team which has been pivotal in the growth and development of the department. Today, he will share on the service specifics and process and requirements. Featured, as Danraj mentioned, is the coveted topic of exporting temperature-sensitive goods. Kristen Maraj, Manager Capacity Building and Program Financing, will also share on exporTT solutions that can support your exporting exploits. Please pay particular attention to how exporTT can be of service to you. Joining them for the question and answer segment is Mr. Christopher Alexander, Vice President of the Customs and Brokerage Association, Ms. Michelle Brito, Export Advisor, exporTT, with oversight of the Certificate of Origin, as well as Ms. Sandra Peter Sarabjit, Chief Trade Officer, Trade License Unit, should you have specific questions around their areas of expertise. To improve the quality of the webinar, participants' videos will remain disengaged and mics placed on mute for the duration of the session. Note, All questions will be addressed during the designated question and answer segment. However, feel free to place your questions during the session in the chat box addressed to everyone. Because we are expecting an extremely large group today, we encourage you to also use the raise hand function during the question and answer segment. You will be acknowledged and your microphone unmuted. Without further ado, I now pass the mic to Mr. Brooms.
Good morning, all. Good morning, fellow panelists, exporters, and our online participants. We extend our warmest thanks to the exporTT team for partnering with us to share this valuable information with you. As we would all agree, the last 12 months have been very challenging. And as Mr. Hari Prasad mentioned earlier, the COVID-19 pandemic have really wreaked havoc in the export and import industry. The COVID-19 pandemic has taken aim at globalization and its claim that the world is a marketplace. As we all know, getting products from origin to destination in the last 12 months have proven to be a serious challenge for all involved. Today, we focus on Caribbean Airlines and how we can assist in transporting products and samples from Port of Spain to your final destination. Today, we will cover Caribbean Airlines cargo services, booking and other shipping requirements, packaging guidelines, tendering and pickup process, and the exclusive discounts offered to exporters through exporTT. At Caribbean Airlines, we really pride ourselves on our ability to move most commodities from Port of Spain to just about anywhere in the world. Through our expansive network of interline partners, trucking and GSSA partners throughout the world, we can offer to transport your products and samples to just about every corner of the globe. To expand on that a bit, an interline agreement or a special prorate agreement is a partnership which allows an airline partnering with another airline to move cargo on each other's flights. Our trucking partnership enables inland movement of cargo seamlessly, while our GSSAs are really agents of Caribbean Airlines at destinations or locations where the airline cannot set up their own sales offices. So we would have probably GSAs in China, India, the UK, Canada, just to facilitate the movement of cargo seamlessly. A lot of focus is placed on the international market, but Caribbean Airlines is very proud to state that the Caribbean is our domain, and as such, we can connect your business throughout the Caribbean. Again, using our all-cargo freighter flights, passenger flights, our interline agreements, and our all-cargo charter that we offer with our 737s and our ATR. Our schedule include weekly all-cargo freighter flights between Miami, Trinidad, Guyana, Barbados, and Jamaica, as well as daily passenger flights between Trinidad and Tobago. Currently, our extensive passenger schedule has been affected, as you all know, by COVID-19, but we still offer flights presently to St. Vincent, Nassau, Grenada, and Antigua, connecting through our Georgetown, Barbados, and Kingston hubs. We are looking forward to the resumption of our regular flights to Curacao, Havana, St. Lucia, St. Martins, and Suriname. Caribbean Airlines have also embarked on an Eastern Caribbean expansion, and this was part of our strategy before COVID-19. Although it has been stymied a bit, we are still moving forward, and we are currently working on launching Dominica flights to Dominica, St. Kitts, Tortola, and San Juan. Here we have a look at our freighter schedule into Trinidad and Tobago. We currently have flights on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Fridays. And we are going to launch an additional 4th flight on April 15th. Caribbean Airlines equipment consists of a Boeing 767 freighter, which has a capacity of 56,000 kgs, 12 Boeing 737-800s, which has a cargo capacity of 8,400 kgs, and several ATRs, which has a cargo capacity of 1,800 kgs. Our services include the movement of several commodities. And commodities are the type of cargo that you move or would request to move from time to time. Caribbean Airlines, we move dangerous goods, perishable goods, inclusive of fruits and vegetables, fresh fish, etc. We also move general cargo, oversized pieces, high value, and live animals. That's more or less just to name a few. Why should Caribbean Airlines? Caribbean Airlines offers an efficient and reliable service that is quite affordable. Our payments are accepted in US and in TT dollars. Customers can also earn frequent flyer miles when they ship cargo with Caribbean Airlines. And Caribbean Airlines gives you the promise that we can move your cargo to almost any destination in the world. Booking your cargo. Firstly, it is recommended that you book your cargo in advance. To do this, we will need the type of commodity, your origin, your destination, the weight of the package, and the dimensions of the package. Commodities, as I said before, refer to the type of items you are shipping and may fall into one of several categories, including general cargo, perishables, live animals, dangerous goods, oversized pieces, high value, and pharmaceuticals. We recommend that you package your cargo efficiently, as your quote would be based on either the greater of the volumetric weight or the actual weight. You know, sometimes as Amazon usually does, you know, we receive a phone, one phone, and when you look at the box, You would swear that, you know, it's a car door or some huge items that is inside of that box. If you are shipping, it's advisable that you really be efficient on your packaging and ensure that your packaging is closed and it's not too bulky, because this can affect the cost of shipping. You should also conduct some research on the destination's customs requirements. You know, it's unfortunate that in some instances we have cargo going out, and you know, upon arrival at its destination, there are certain requirements and the consignee cannot clear and enjoy that cargo. Customs declaration. Each shipper or exporter needs to fill out a customs declaration form or C-82 form in 4 copies. This form would be submitted along with the other required documents to the Customs and Excise Office for their signature or okay to ship. Required documents would include an invoice showing the value of the item being shipped, an export license if required, and we'll go into the requirement of an export license later on, a certificate of origin, and a national ID. You then proceed to the CAL office, the import and export section, with your goods to be exported. For international shipments, you would require the services of a freight forwarder. And the reason for this is that a freight forwarder has an okay to ship certification or classification. And this is accepted by the US and all major international destinations. It means also that you cannot ship to the US as a person. You must go through a freight forwarder who has this known shipper classification. Some of the known shippers that we usually work with would be Evolution Freight, Logistics International, Skyline Freight, Pass Cargo, Cargo Consol, IV Shipping, and Ramps Logistics. Packaging guidelines. You have to select solid outer packaging. You have to ensure that your cargo is cushioned on the inside. And label your package appropriately. At Caribbean Airlines, we make every effort to move your cargo damage-free from origin to destination. To accomplish this, cargo must be properly packaged to ensure damage-free transportation. We recommend that your selected packaging be prepared to maintain the quality and integrity of the cargo during transportation. Packaging must be able to withstand frequent handling, loading and offloading, compression from overhead weight when other containers are placed on it, impact and vibration through the transportation process, weather, high humidity, and temperature changes. Packaging material chosen needs to meet the criteria outlined above. The safety and integrity of your cargo depends on it. We give you a few examples now of customers transporting perishable fruits and vegetables. To the left, it's really a customer moving pimento peppers, and you would observe that, you know, the boxes are quite sturdy and well ventilated also, preventing moisture and spoilage eventually. All right, we have also woven bamboo baskets in this middle picture. This customer is moving ground provisions, and this has been proven to be the best way to move this commodity. And finally, on your extreme right, we have dasheen bush, which is packaged in perforated plastic bags. And again, this has proven to be the best method of packaging for this item. We move on to frozen goods, and frozen temperature sensitive goods are really a huge part of our business. When we look at our data over the last 5 years, going northbound, roughly 80% of our cargo moving northbound consists of frozen goods. And probably 90% of that would be frozen fish, frozen or fresh fish. It is very important. The packaging of these items are very important, as we all know, as we tend to, again, maintain the integrity of the product and prevent spoilage. So we suggest that we really do some research on whatever product we are going to export before we decide how we package. Our frozen and fresh fish normally are packaged in styrofoam boxes with insulation, a cooling agent, and an absorbent material to maintain the integrity of the aircraft itself. This is because we usually have some level of leakage from the packaging of these items and the movement of these items. Here we see fish packaged for takeoff. On the extreme left, we have insulated boxes that we usually move the larger fishes with. And we have tuna, we move in tuna in these boxes. In the second two would be regular size fish, and it's direct styrofoam boxes. The tendering process. You'll visit the Caribbean Airlines cargo compound to tender your cargo. Present your shipping bill or C-82 form along with your physical cargo for verification in the customs warehouse. Submit the shipping bill and all necessary documents to the agent at the front counter at the Cal Cargo office. Proceed to our security area for your cargo to be inspected and weighed. Because your cargo have to be inspected, it is recommended that your cargo is not sealed as yet, because if it's sealed, then we still have to reopen and inspect, because all cargo will be inspected. Return to the Cal Cargo front counter to complete the shipper's letter of instructions and the cargo security declaration form. Advance to the cashier, make payment, and complete the process. Cargo arrival. Consignees can track the status of their shipment in transit and will be alerted once cargo arrives at its destination. And this cargo tracker is located on the Caribbean Airlines cargo website. All you need is your airway bill number. Once you put that in, you will be shown where your cargo has reached. The following will be required to collect for the collection of your shipments: a national ID, and if someone is collecting on your behalf, the consignees must give them a letter of authorization and a copy of their identification card. You would also require to have your customs and handling fees ready. Exclusive discounts offered for exporters through exporTT include for first-time exporters 10% off freight shipment to all Caribbean destinations and a 5% off international shipments. All exporters are also allowed a 5% off on the shipment of all samples. We thank you, and we hope that the information provided today was useful. The contact information below is for our telesales team, and you can reach out to them at any time for further information. You know, I had promised early on that I would elaborate a bit on some of the items that are on the export negative list. And I think everyone who wishes to export should visit the Ministry of Trade and Industry and take a look at their trade license unit. This gives us a comprehensive list of the items we are allowed to export and those that are prohibited. And some of the prohibited items includes coral and other aquatic life, works of art and artifacts, clays and crushed limestone, all plants and animals listed as endangered species, human organs, explosives, firearms, arms, ammunitions, and items that are subsidized directly or indirectly by the government of Trinidad and Tobago. I thank you, and I guess I will be hearing from you again in the question and answer segment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Let's welcome at this time Kristen Maraj, Manager, Capacity Building and Program Financing at exporTT.
Hello, and good morning, everyone. So what I'm presenting on this morning is on exporTT's support to exporters. And it would complement what Mr. Brooms just touched on. So let me just get into the presentation and we could take some questions and answer after. So. Okay, cool. All right, so we're going to touch a little bit on services that will complement what CAL is offering. So firstly, I want to talk to you all about co-financing. So co-financing is financial support that exporTT gives to exporters, potential exporters as well. That takes the form of reimbursements for pre-approved investment. This means that you let us know upfront that you will be undertaking these activities. There's an application process, and we will do a contract, after which we will reimburse the cost as per the contract. I just want to stress this from the beginning. Do not incur your costs first and then come back for reimbursement. It has to be done before, it has to be pre-approved. So the cost that's covered is 50% to a limit of 35,000 TT for the year. So you can think about it as a pool of 35,000 TT that you have to access that can cover up to 50% of certain export-related activities. So these activities include product and company registration in overseas markets, intellectual property registration in overseas markets. So this is particularly useful for your trademark registration. And Trinidad and Tobago falls under the Madrid Protocol right now, so you can benefit from registration to numerous countries through your local intellectual property office, and exporTT through co-financing can reimburse up to 50% of those costs. We also cover the costs of, reimburse some of the costs for testing, and I'll get into why testing is necessary for this process in a bit. Translation of export-related documents, particularly useful for those of you who might be looking to get into the non-English speaking Latin American markets. Trade show participation, now not physical trade shows, but there are online trade shows, and by all accounts, they seem to be successful. This co-financing can still apply to these online virtual trade shows. What this covers is the cost, well, in the case of the virtual, it'll be the cost of registration to attend or to display virtually. Right. We also cover label design modification. So it's not production of labels, it's the actual design to be suitable for export markets. First-time website development for current or potential exporters. Now, in the current new normal, this is particularly important. Your business to customer sales, and we have seen companies benefit greatly from this, increased business to customer sales through their website and having an e-commerce, right? For the first-time website development, you can access co-financing, or if you already have a website, we can give support for you to have an e-commerce functional website. Right? We also support financial auditing services for the sake of accessing funding and financing. Some of the grants that we administer through exporTT, through Ministry of Trade as well, and regionally, such as Caribbean Export, ask for audited financials. Now, these could be costly depending on the size of the operation. And we realized that this was a challenge, particularly for the smaller companies. So we offered this service to reimburse some of those costs to get your audited financials as well. And what's most pertinent here is the shipping of samples. So we would reimburse 50% of the cost of shipping of samples. So, and I'll get a bit into how this whole process can work in your favor. But I want to talk about something that Mr. Harry Prasad mentioned earlier, which is the newly launched certification program for food and beverage standards and product compliance. This is under the Export Boost Initiative. And this has been launched, the application website. We are currently taking applications. So the purpose of this is to build capacity in the conduct of standards audits. What this means is that the technical costs that you pay a consultant to get these audits done will be covered by this grant. In addition, if you need specialized equipment for the standards, so perhaps to achieve the standard, you might need particular types of sinks, counters, that is also covered under this grant. And infrastructural modifications as well. And we have seen this in the past that companies found it hard to implement these international standards because it requires infrastructural changes. So for the food and beverage sector, some of these changes might be to actually change the flooring so that there can be proper surface runoff, to fix lighting, to prevent any particles or broken light from falling into your food and beverage, as well as the modification of the sealing to ensure that the entire area is completely sealed and there's no chance of cross-contamination through, say, birds or anything airborne. Those kinds of costs are also covered under this grant. And the grant will also cover the costs. So after you have your compliance, some companies, some of your buyers might ask to actually see a certificate rather than just the evidence of compliance. the grant also covers that cost of certification. So, well, like I said, it'll be covered in the form of grants. Now, the funds will be limited to 500,000 TT per beneficiary. And it will cover not only food and beverage standards, but all product standards that are required for entry into your target market. And just bear in mind though that your company wouldn't qualify for another related grant under the exporTT requirements, meaning if items are covered under this particular grant, you wouldn't be able to apply again through exporTT or any government agency for the same thing. All right, so just bear that in mind. Now, what can you access? So for exporters, and the purpose of this is both for exporters as well as companies that are producing import substitutes, because I mean that will also assist in helping stop the leakage of Forex, which is a challenge for our country right now. So in terms of exporters, companies exporting less than 1 million US can access 100% of the funding to a limit of 500,000 to get these activities done, to get your standards in place for export. Companies exporting under 2 million will access 75% to a percentage of 500,000, meaning that your company will have to show evidence that you have covered at least 25% of the costs. And for some of the larger exporters, 2 million to 4 million US in exports, 50% will be covered through this grant. Now, import substitution, and this is useful for companies who are not exporting as yet. I know some of you might not actually be in the export markets as yet, but you still produce something that is an import substitute. For example, if you produce juices, you are producing juices that will compete with the foreign brands that are on shelves right now. So once you can prove that you are an import substituting producer and that you produce your sales are less than 25 million TT per year, you can also access up to 100% to the limit of 500,000 for this grant. So in terms of the criteria for the scoring, now these applications are taken to a committee. It's not within exporTT. It's chaired by exporTT, but the committee also comprises other agencies, including the Ministry of Trade, the TTMA, and the Ministry of Finance. Now, what we'll look for in the application, and I invite you all to download the application and take a look at the requirements and how it's structured. The committee will look for the quality and completeness of the documentation submitted. There's a list of required documents that is listed in the application form, so take a look at it. The level of export orientation or import substitution on what you're looking for to get funded, the impact that will have on your import substitution or exportability in your future growth. That's scored heavily. I think that might be the heaviest area that will be scored in this application. And then of course, there's the overall impact on domestic economy. So apart from the obvious benefit of generating foreign exchange, generating exports, or preventing the slowing the leakage of foreign exchange out of our system, you should also touch on things like how this will increase, say, employment within your company. If this expansion will generate, getting more skilled technical persons probably involved, expansion in your marketing team or your production team through the implementation of these standards. And that's just one example of the economic impact. It's up to you to be creative and report on how the economic impact will be affected positively. All right, so I want to jump into a case study here of a fictional company called the Extremely Delicious Snacks Company Limited. So named because they produce extremely delicious snacks. So Extremely Delicious is ready to explore the export market. So in their case, they have sent 1 or 2 exports before, but not consistently, and they really want to focus now on getting their exports started in a significant way. They want to decide what market they want to get to. So they have some initial market research. They know what general markets they want to look at. Now, exporTT has a research department that has access to some very powerful paid databases that we can get some really good quantitative and qualitative data and analysis done on these export markets for companies to help them decide what market is best for them, which market would be easier to enter, as well as the markets that have the highest export potential to them for your particular product. Now, after this is done and the company has used this information to decide what market it is they want to get into, you need to understand what the requirements for the entry into the market would be. So this is where you need your standards in place. So in the case of Extremely Delicious, they were looking at the US market. So they actually had to get what we call the FSMA, the Food Safety Modernization Act certification and compliance that is required by all exporters to enter the US market. Now, this is in the US that all exporters to the US have to meet that requirement. They can then get support from exporTT through the standards implementation grant that I just spoke about to get the standards in place to produce a product that is suitable for entry into the US market. Just as well, Extremely Delicious would need product testing to comply with the requirements within that market. So some of the products that are Extremely Delicious is exporting. Some of the products are made from local Trinidad chocolate. We know it's some of the finest in the world. However, one of the requirements for entry into the US and then some of the European distributors that the US company would be distributing to, they require a cadmium level testing for our chocolate. So that kind of testing would be covered through the co-financing for product testing. There are other things as well that will be covered, such as labeling requirements. So labeling requirements need to show nutritional content. For snacks, they need to show things like added sugar for this particular market. That kind of testing is also covered by the co-financing, and the modification of the package for entry to US market can be covered through the co-financing. So that's where exporTT still helps. This is before you actually start exporting. Huh? This is to make sure you have everything in place so you have an export-ready product in place. So you have these things in place. Extremely Delicious knows, all right, we have something that we can take to the export market now. So they said, all right, now we need to contact potential buyers. We need to get somebody to buy their databases that we can get contact info on. Should the companies want to contact these potential buyers directly. But we also have the export promotions department for companies. Right now, we have virtual trade missions. We have 12 virtual trade missions planned for the year. So Extremely Delicious could find themselves on one of those missions that's best suited to their market. And in this case, it'll be our New York virtual mission. So the unit also we will not have any exporTT-led trade show delegations this year because of how things are. However, in the future, companies can also benefit from being part of those missions from exporTT and through the support of our export promotion department. So the initial contact was made. We got potential buyers through these B2B meetings. And okay, we want names and leisures, but you need to prove that to us. So this is where Cal comes in. So Cal gives a 5% discount for companies that are recommended by exporTT, referred to them by exporTT. And then to compound that 5% discount, we ship in samples through Cal between Cal and exporTT. Now, things went well. The company, the buyer or buyers in the US said, well, this is in fact extremely delicious, and we think that the kids would love it. So we're ready to get some of this. So, but before we do this, the color of the product isn't really suited to our market. It might work better in Latin America. Also, the shape and consistency of some of these snacks are not suited to our market, but we like the product. The taste is good. Can you modify your product to work for us? So something that we are going to launch very soon as part of the Export Booster is product testing to support this kind of work. This is like product modification and testing specifically for entry into markets based on buyers' requirements. And support will be given very soon through exporTT for this. So extremely delicious will benefit from this. So modifications were done based on the buyer's requirements. They need to send back samples of the new modified product now. Again, you can access Cal's 5% discount, as well as if you still have more within co-financing again. Now, the buyer says, right, this is extremely delicious and this is exactly what we want. We're ready to receive that first shipment. So Cal has their, and Mr. Broom spoke about it, their 10% discount for your first time export. So that is ideal for your first time. You'll benefit there. And Mr. Brooms mentioned, and based on a discussion I had with Cal yesterday afternoon too, I just kind of put this in last minute in presentation because I didn't know about this part, that they have agreements with their freight forwarders for additional discount of 5% from them. So that's ideal because to get to the US, there has to be some transshipment through a freight forwarder after Cal. So Cal has organized that 5% discount to help you with that part of the effort as well. So, right, discounts organized, shipment organized in place. Now, what you'll need additionally, now this isn't really applicable for the US, so it's not really part of our case study, but let's say one of the other markets that Extremely Delicious was going to was Jamaica or Caribbean market. exporTT has the enabling environment unit. Most of you will know it as the certification unit. And what we do is we do certificates of origin for Trinidad and Tobago products. It's to say, all right, these are in fact local Trinidad and Tobago products. They have the significant amount of value added. You get that certification from exporTT and from the certification unit. And through that, you will benefit from preferential duties to markets that we have trade agreements with. And that, I believe, is the story of Extremely Delicious Snacks Company, a company that would be exporting in late 2021, according to my story. So this is my name, what I do, where you all can find me. and my contact information. You'll note my cell number is there as well. If at any point you cannot get through to my cell, maybe I'm in meetings and so on, I am open to responding to WhatsApp messages. So even if you cannot get to me, leave WhatsApps, please. Right, and that will be it for my presentation. I look forward to your very interesting questions. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Chrisan. We now proceed to the question and answer segment. As mentioned previously, please feel free to use the raise hand function if you wish to ask your questions directly. A reminder, we have in the session today, Mr. Christopher Alexander, Vice President of the Customs and Brokerage Association, Ms. Michelle Brito, Export Advisor, exporTT, with specific oversight for the Certificate of Origin, as well as Ms. Sandra Peter Sarabjit, Chief Trade Officer at the Trade License Unit, in case you have specific questions around their areas of expertise. So let me at this time go to some questions that I've seen coming up in the chat. This one is for you, Mr. Brooms. Can the quotation for shipping the package be obtained online, CAL's website, or do we have to call or email to request?
At this time, it is required that you call to request. We are going to be launching within the second quarter of this year our online estimator. So you can probably put in the DIMs, the weights, and so on, and you get a quotation, of course, origin and destination.
Okay, thank you. Another question for you. What assurances can be provided for the protection of the integrity of the perishable cargo, such as flowers?
That's a tough one, but we do stress with our ground handling agents, our cargo coordinators, and the entire CAL operation team the need to handle cargo appropriately. All right. What we usually do is, especially when we are shipping perishable cargo, we firstly ensure that it's packaged appropriately. And secondly, we tend to separate this shipment from our regular general cargo shipment. And of course, it's given the preferential treatment and the soft hands that are necessary, you know, to maintain the integrity of the product.
Okay.
Additionally, also,
Sorry.
in the second quarter, we will be launching, in addition to the Caribbean Airlines cargo claims process, we are also going to be launching our insurance platform where customers at a minimal fee can insure their cargo also to get back more or less 100% of its worth.
That's excellent. Can you review the freight cost per kg or volume again, please?
Sure. All right. We have actual weight. And of course, let me restart by saying Caribbean Airlines cargo, we sell space. All right. So what we look at is the volumetric weight. That's how bulky it is, how much space it's going to occupy in the aircraft, as opposed to actual weight. So we do have a formula where we multiply the length by the height, by the width, and then divide by 366. And that gives us the volumetric weight. If the volumetric weight is more than the actual weight, then we use the volumetric weight. So whichever is higher, we use that weight when we are quoting.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Participants, remember, you can raise your hands. In the meantime, I'll keep going through the questions that appeared on the chat. Ideally, if you do everything correct, northbound to Toronto once landed, how much time does one need to cater for to get goods cleared and ready to be removed, especially in the case of frozen goods?
All right, once the goods are ready let's say they're offloaded, they're tallied, I would say probably 1 hour.
Mhm. 1 hour. Is a CARICOM invoice required to accompany the shipment or only the commercial invoice?
And this is the shipment to where?
Participant, can you clarify first, please? I'm seeing in the chat here a CARICOM country, so I want to assume.
Yes, for a CARICOM country, a CARICOM invoice would be required.
Okay. Does CAL transport chilled cargo as well or only dry frozen?
We also transport chilled cargo, but of course, terms and conditions apply.
Would you be able to share some of those just for them?
Well, again, the packaging is really very important in maintaining the integrity of chilled products. Additionally, another consideration or another factor will be the transit time. And based on the transit time, we may or may not be able to accept. Because of course, if it's a very long transit time, then we won't be able to guarantee the integrity of the product.
Okay. Okay, understood. Most of our questions seem to be for you, Brian. Are there any specific requirements for fragile cargo, example, eggs?
Well, again, we do transport quite a lot of eggs. All right, we transport eggs almost. We transport eggs weekly, 3 times a week into Trinidad. And the most important factor again is the packaging. And we've been doing this for a number of years, and we really do not have any major issues with the integrity or damages or anything like that. We also transport eggs from Canada, eggs and ducklings very frequently from Canada. And we have less than 1% mortality with the ducklings, and again, less than 1% damages with the eggs.
Okay, great. Kristen, I have some questions coming in for you now. Can companies who access previous grants for systems compliance also access the CPFS-PC for certification?
Or different compliance. So for example, if you already accessed it for HACCP, you wouldn't be able to access it again. However, if you do have your HACCP, but you need to get Safe Food for Canada or FSMA, that's fine, so long as it's not something that was accessed before that you did receive some funding for. Similarly with the certification for products. So if a company has, say, their CE mark for their product for Europe, but you need an additional mark like a NF, then that's fine, so long as it wasn't covered in our prior services.
Okay, and how long do potential applicants of the CPFS-PC have before the grant will no longer be available?
So as far as we know, the Export Booster provides funding till the end of our fiscal year. Our fiscal year ends on September 30th. So we need to get those applications in and get work started well before that. Now, we can prove that, okay, work has started, some funds were already allotted to the project to show that we have committed and that implementation has in fact started and is ongoing till September 30th. So in terms of apply like yesterday for it.
Okay, and does the program cover the cost for bringing in external auditors to audit your facility?
Well, for now, and I suspect for the rest of the year, we mightn't have much people coming in to do anything. But yes, it would, because there are some standards that we do not have local consultants for. One such standard is organic certification, where you need to get agencies. I think the Dominican Republic is the closest country we have with consultants and a certifying body for organic, though it's typically done through Europe, through a body in Europe. So yeah, that kind of support will be eligible as well, because that's the only way you're going to get technical support in lieu of having it resident in Trinidad.
Okay, great. Thank you, Chris. And we have someone from PriceMat with their hand up, and I will attempt to unmute them at this time so they can ask their question.
Hi, is everyone hearing me?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so Mr. Brooms, I have two questions for you. I heard that you mentioned the quote is based on the greater of the volumetric weight versus the actual weight. Can you give some clarification on what exactly both of those are? And my second question is, in terms of brokerage, how is the brokerage handled? I know you mentioned that the customer has to basically come to you with the signed C82 form and then work with one of your freight forwarders. So is it that you will take care of all of the documentation required here in Trinidad, and the freight forwarder then deals with the rest of documentation? Can you bring some clarity to how that is handled for us?
I'll take the second question first. And the answer to that would be, once you engage the services of a freight forwarder, that freight forwarder will really assist you with completing all of the documentations required. And the first question, just to go back to the greater of the volumetric or the actual weight. So, okay. So I'll give you that formula again. It's the length by the height, the length multiplied by the height multiplied by the width, and that figure is divided by 366. That formula gives you the volumetric weight. If that formula, the sum of that formula ends up, let's say, to be 250 kgs, and the actual weight of your package is 300 kgs, then you would be quoted for a package weighing 300 kgs. All right, if the volumetric weight in another instance is, let's say, 200 kgs, after you use the formula, and the actual weight is 180 kgs, then we'll go with the volumetric weight of 200 kgs when we quote it.
I hope you're comfortable with that response, participant. Okay, we're moving on now. I'm interested in sending small 30 kg cargo, cocoa butter, non-refrigerated, to the West Coast, California. So I know Cal would have to transfer to a US carrier. What would my speed bumps be to overcome, and what documentations and permissions are required for me as a shipper and the consignee to procure?
All right, again, once you're shipping into the United States, you would require the services of a freight forwarder. And quite rightly, Caribbean Airlines would have to use one of our interline partners to get this to the West Coast. All right, but once you get the services of the freight forwarder, they would more or less walk you through the entire process. At this point, I'd also like to suggest that you consider using our jetpack services. Once we do not have to use an interline, once it's airport to airport, we can use our jetpack services, which is really an express services for small envelopes, very small packages. All right, it's very reasonable, and it gets there much faster.
Okay.
And just to
thank you.
clarify,
Mhm.
this is not really applicable if we're using an interline partner. Let's say it's for the Spain to New York. We fly directly to New York. We can use the jetpack services.
Okay, thank you. I'm assuming this person is from Tobago. They're asking, I've faced challenges with shipping my product to Trinidad in terms of keeping them from getting damaged or frosting, melting. In your experience, what can be used to rectify such issues when shipping?
Okay, well, I know you're probably thinking that, or you said that the customer is from Tobago, but I would have to know what commodity and the origin of the shipment. I do not know if it's from Tobago, but if the customer can probably elaborate a bit, it would help.
Participant, could you clarify first, please? If you raise your hand, I'll be able to unmute your mic so you can clarify your question. Okay.
Hi, good morning. Yes, I am from Tobago and I'm talking about cupcakes.
Cupcakes, and what was the question again?
Okay, I'm really trying to find out two things. One, in terms of product testing, what options are available, as well in terms of shipping. I would have experienced damaging the product while shipping it to Trinidad. So I just wanted to know, in your experience as well, what can be used in terms of preventing such while in packaging, I guess, when shipping.
Okay, well, it will come down to the outer packaging of the outer packaging. It must be sturdy enough to ensure that the product inside is not would not be exposed to bruising and probably the rigors of transportation. That's more or less the best I could do. It really comes down to packaging.
Yeah. Kristen, concerning her first question, would you be able to respond to that in terms of product testing? What options are available in getting this done?
In terms of the product testing, it has, I don't think there are any certified labs in Tobago as yet to do it. So it'll still have to be sent physically, samples have to be sent physically to Trinidad. I saw Sharon from Couriers here, so maybe Sharon could help us out with that answer.
Sharon, I'm going to unmute you to see if you can add to this conversation, please. Oh, Sharon is saying she does not have audio. What we can do is take your question and we would get that response for you. Let me just, one more question for you, Brian. What department in Caribbean Airlines do I have to go concerning exporting or importing stationery supplies?
Caribbean Airlines Cargo.
Caribbean Airlines Cargo. Okay, we have another participant with their hand raised. Let me just unmute their mic.
Mr. Brooms, in terms of the special packaging required, does CAL provide this, or is there a third party that you work with who provides the special packaging, especially for frozen items?
Caribbean Airlines does not provide the packaging, and some of the freight forwarders listed may be able to help you because they do this week in, week out. But I do not know of any company that provides this service also.
Okay. Participant, And Sharon has responded in the chat to you. She left her email address, so you feel free to email her and she would be able to respond to your question concerning product testing on the cupcakes in Tobago. I am not seeing any other questions in the chat at this time. Does anyone else have any issue they would like raised with any of the different units, or rather organizations, I should say, present on the meeting with us today? All right, I'm seeing one. Discounts for exporters. Do you get a loyalty card or so, or a number? Kristen, would you be able to take that one? Or I don't know if Brian would be able to take that one.
All right, Priya, repeat that question. Let me analyze that.
So they're asking if concerning the discounts for exporters, do they get a loyalty card or a number?
So the agreement that we have in place is that it will be a referral via email from exporTT to Cal. What we have right now, well, what we will have very soon, we have the format of it is a form. Basically, it's nothing onerous, but basically to capture the customer's information, and that will be forwarded to Cal. In terms of a discount card or like a coupon, we don't really have that kind of arrangement in place, but there is a official referral system via the email and that form.
Okay, great. Brian, I'm going to put you on the spot here. This question, participants are asking if they can get a copy of your presentation. I don't know if you will be allowing that or not. You're on mute. If you can just unmute for me, thanks.
Sorry about that. Yeah, sure, you could get a copy of the presentation. I would ask for probably a day, because as in my estimation, the presentation itself doesn't contain probably enough information, because it's not a deep dive type presentation. It's just a surface presentation, and we speak out the issues or the topics. So I will have, we would look at it and probably add some more information. Give us a day. By next week, we can send you something.
Okay, and they're just asking if you could share that slide again with the contact numbers for the cargo section.
Sure, will do.
Do we have any more questions? No more in the chat. So if anyone else would like to ask any question before we wrap up.
Ms. Benjamin, morning.
Yes, good morning, Christopher.
I'm not seeing my raise hand option, so sorry to just butt in. But
no problem.
Great presentation from Mr. Brooms and Kristen. Just want to reiterate with the participants that when you're seeking to do an export, please engage your custom broker to avoid any delays. Please seek exporTT. Find out if your product is, you can certify your product, especially for CARICOM countries, because we have had the issues where cargo reached destination and they are now trying to get the certificate of origin organized, sorted out. And of course, they call us the magician, and we try our best to facilitate, but it's always better to get all your customs declarations in order. Seek your broker. Most time, well, I know there are customers who will probably just want to take their EC82s and go do it themselves, but it's always advisable to engage a broker, a customs broker, who will be able to give you all the necessary guidelines of the laws and requirements of exporting or doing any shipments via the channel of the the customs procedure, sorry, right? Everything is governed by the Customs Act, which is Chapter 7801, right? So they will have to do everything above board. And as I said, seek exporTT, I think Ms. Brito is on. They do a wonderful job on advising and ensuring that you have the correct information and product for your certification. They do their site visits and ensure that you have everything up to board. Because you don't want your product to reach to the destination and it's stuck up at the customs there, and you're now trying to get a certificate of origin to clear. So it's gonna put a sour taste in your customer's mouth, where your product is not ready to enter into the territory. All right. So, and not only for the CARICOM countries, for any destination that you're going to, please ensure get all the information of what they require to import into their country. They may need a food and drugs release. They may need a certificate of analysis, right? They may need what's the other one? They may need a free sale certificate. All right. There are requirements, so seek the requirements needed and the necessary things needed to get into the importing country, as well as all your requirements to export. So I'd just like to reiterate on that, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming in, Christopher. We appreciate that information. There's one question that showed up just now. What opportunities are there for freight forwarders and partnering with local Skybox couriers for export out of Trinidad and to the Caribbean and Miami? I'm not sure if they're asking you that, Brian. I don't know if you would know that.
Okay, so I can just probably share some industry information. One of the things that the couriers have been harping on for quite a while is that, they do not have any requests or any major requests northbound. All right, and the only thing we move northbound from couriers at times would be empty pallets and empty packaging material, really. And I think a few have come to us and asked if we would be willing to give them a reduced rate, because some customers have items probably to return to the Amazons, the eBays, whoever, but we really do not have much traffic from the couriers going north. So they could probably engage some of the couriers and see if, once they engage the courier would then engage us probably for a preferential rate, and we can have a discussion on that. But directly, I can't say if there are any opportunities out there other than that.
Okay. Ryan Harper is asking, kindly advise the method of payment. But Ryan, could you clarify for us exactly what service are you asking that question in relation to, please? I can unmute you for you to ask the question. Okay, I am. Okay, I'm giving the permission, but I'm not sure what's happening on that end. So let me just see if there are any other questions, and we would move. Oh, the export of flowers. So freight payment, she's asking.
Freight payment.
The method, how do you pay, I guess, for the freight?
Well, we have online payment. You can pay via online payment. method, or you can come into the offices and pay.
Okay. Great. Cargo office days of operation. Any Saturday opening?
Yes, the cargo office at Piaco is opened on a Saturday and a Sunday.
Okay.
So it's the entire week.
Is it 8 to 4? What is the timing?
On a weekend, it's 8 to 4, yes.
Okay. All right.
On a regular weekday, it's on a regular weekday, it's 8 to 10. I think it's 8 to 10 p.m.
Okay. Okay, so we have another one here. When you go to Caribbean Airlines cargo, should you mention exporTT? I think this one is for Chrisan. Clarity is being asked concerning the process to get the discount, I believe.
Yes, when you go to Caribbean Airlines to Cal Cargo, mention exporTT, right? So if it is that you all didn't come to exporTT first and went directly to Cal, mention exporTT. It will be communicated to us by Cal, and we will reach out to you just to make sure that we get the information to populate the form. So some of the information we're going to ask for is if it's a sample shipment or if it is a commercial order, commercial shipment. And if it is indeed your first shipment out to that market. But everything will be done electronically. So whether you come to exporTT or Caribbean Airlines, the communication will take place. Correct, Mr. Brooms?
We would prefer if they contact us in advance, because I mean this is for their comfort, because it really will limit the turnaround time if they contact us in advance and we have everything in place, because our telesales team is not housed in the same building. In fact, our telesales team works virtually now. So once we get that information, we could communicate it to our ground handler, who is Swissport, and they man the cargo office's front desk. So once we get that information through our telesales team, then we can pass it on to the relevant personnel there. And as soon as they approach the counter and more or less say their name and exporTT, you know, everything will be in place for them.
Great, thank you. Nikisha is saying time to get a loyalty card. Okay.
We do have a loyalty program, just to inform Nikisha, and she can go on Caribbean Airlines Cargo website and sign up and start earning miles from her next shipment. All right, based on the amount of shipment, sure, of course, we will be forwarding a card to her once we get the required level of business from her.
Someone is asking if Cal Air Cargo service is available from Tobago.
Yes, it is, but there are limitations. As you know, we use the ATR, and we have some stipulations as regards the size and the dimension of packages that we can move on that equipment. But we certainly do.
Okay, great. Do we have any questions left, or anybody that wants to ask a question directly? I believe that we would have exhausted all of the questions that came in. Are the opening hours the same in Tobago?
No, the opening hours are a bit different in Tobago, and I think you can actually clear cargo. If it's for clearance, it's on a Thursday or Friday, I think. But My email address was up a little while ago. You can probably email me and I can clarify the opening hours in Tobago for you.
Okay, great. Chris, and this final question is for you, and another one just popped in. For a company that will qualify for less than 100% under the certification program and have started their systems implementation already, can such a company apply for the balance of the cost to complete the work if they have not yet paid the monies remaining?
If they have not yet paid the money that's remaining, that remaining portion will be treated as the application. So retroactively, nothing could be recognized. But the work that has to be done forward, because I assume the work that you're doing will be done in phases. The phase 2 and 3, say, that's the other 2 phases you have, that's what we'll treat as the application.
Okay.
As long as money was not paid, because we had to have a contract saying that we commit to the money.
Okay.
Also, I should mention that this is paid directly to the supplier. So if money was already paid, you can't get that reimbursed. It's paid directly to the supplier.
Okay, so I think there is a question here, but I need clarity. Vanessa, if you have a card, can you use it? I'm not sure exactly what you're asking, Vanessa. Could you clarify for me, please?
I think she's asking if she has an existing frequent flyer card, if she can use it to gain frequent flyer points once she moves cargo. And the answer is yes, but she would have to provide that frequent flyer card number to us so that we can add her to the cargo system so that she can start earning miles.
Okay, and Nakisha has a suggestion. She's saying perhaps an export checklist can be done as a guide. So.
Sure.
Okay.
Something we'll consider.
Okay. I'm also seeing here some advice. Payment to CAL can be made in the office for first-time shippers, credit card or links. Caribbean Airlines accepts local currency, which is a huge benefit to customers. So that's just some information for you participants. And I believe that we have indeed gone through all the questions in the bank that I've seen at this time, which would mean, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of our webinar, and we are going to be giving you a gift of time. Before we do so, I don't know if Brian or Chrison or Christopher has anything that they want to say before we close off, or even Michelle Brito or Sandra from the Trade Licensing Unit. If there's anything you would like to share with the participants before we leave today.
Okay, Maria, we have with us our Business Development Officer, Roxanne Risbrook, and she can probably elaborate a little bit on the online payment and our payment terms and conditions. So if you could probably give her access to speak, she would probably
let me
elaborate a bit.
Hi, good morning, everyone. With regards to the payments, I put a note in the chat a short while ago. Basically, you can pay at the office, the facility, via credit card or links. What we have in place right now, which Brian would have mentioned a short while ago, the online payment, that is not something that is available for first-time shippers. It's really for credit customers at this time.
Okay, great.
Yes, okay.
Thank you, Roxanne. So, ladies and gentlemen, we trust that the information presented today will prove beneficial and useful to you as you make decisions concerning delivering your products to your overseas clients. Heartfelt thank you to all participants, to all our panelists and support staff at both exporTT and Caribbean Airlines for ensuring that we had everything in place for this webinar today.